Hello, everyone. Today we are with Aziz. Aziz, thank you for being with us at TESOL Colombia. So today we want to ask you about what you talk in the auditorium. So our first question is, how has learning about different languages and about different cultures, uh, how this have helped you to change the way you see the world and how you interact with others?
I think by learning other languages, I speak 3 languages. When you learn a language, you learn a culture, you learn about people, you learn about communication. And to me, learning Hebrew was very important because by learning Hebrew, I was able to overcome my anger, my wanting to revenge from my brother's death, and connect with Israelis in a way I couldn't. I was able to understand the emotions that come with the language, the way people grow, the way people live, the way it's hard to understand that without the language. And then learning English was extremely important for me because I've worked in 60 countries in the world. There's no way I would have worked in most of them if I didn't speak English. It opened the whole world to me. It made me able to understand so many places I wouldn't, to communicate with so many people I wouldn't otherwise, to do business in places I wouldn't otherwise. English to me is the language that has been the language of opportunity.
And how do you think these languages and like understanding each other's culture has helped you to solve conflicts or get along with, for example, Israelis or others?
A few things. Well, with English it's powerful because when you're speaking in a second language, it's actually easier for me to negotiate with people that their English is their second language, their native language, because when you talk in your second language, you're a little bit, the emotions is a bit more detached. So when I bring 2 groups from 2 different cultures or different countries to talk with each other in negotiations and they speaking in English, I have more chances to succeed than if they speaking in their native language. So it's kind of an amazing thing when it comes to conflict resolution. You're less emotional, you're less connected to the pain a little bit, so it helps with us reach a consensus. For me personally, when I learned Hebrew, I understood things I would never have understood otherwise. In the sense that simple things like even the music when you're learning about it, even the movies, even it takes you into a whole different world. And that's just so hard to do without a language, without learning another language. So I normally tell people, yes, learn English, and if you can, learn more languages because it's just always something that will open your world to a whole new reality.
That's great. You talk about how your language teachers use stories in their teaching. Can you remember stories from your teachers or fellow students that help you learn some part of a new language?
Well, English I've learned because when I was studying in Jerusalem, I studied in a very touristy place, very close to that. All of Jerusalem is very touristy. And tourists would come by and take photos of us and then we'll go away. And I really wanted to talk to them. And my teacher said, well, if you want to talk to them, you need to learn English. And I got so excited about learning English because I wanted to talk to those tourists. I wanted to hear where they're coming from, what's their country. My sister was an English teacher, so that also influenced me a lot. And my sister would tell me a lot of the stories of the books she was reading. I'm the youngest, so she was my much older sister. So she would tell me all the stories she was reading in her college and as she became a teacher. And I wanted to connect to those stories. I wanted to understand them. And I knew my only way to do that is through learning the language. And so I would sit with a dictionary trying to read word by word. I would sit, okay, this means that, and I wanted to memorize as many words because I really was dying to speak the language and read the stories that I would hear from my sister.
That's great. And the other question I want to ask you is, you emphasize the important role that today's children play in making conflict resolution last. What are some of the challenges that you have encountered when working with children in situations of conflict resolution?
The challenges I've encountered with children and with adults sometimes are similar. The biggest challenge in conflict zones is that people feel indifferent, people feel their voice is not important, and that they can't make a difference. And that's the biggest danger we have, I think, to humanity, is that the feeling that we are nothing, and only somebody who's powerful and important can make all the decisions for us. And what I try to do is to say every voice matters. And I do that through stories, telling the stories of people, individuals who've changed the course of history in our lives. And I try to use these stories to give them hope that no, you can make a difference. Maybe you won't change the whole world, but maybe you can change others people's lives. You can change your own life. You still have the ability to make a difference.
That's great. Shukran. Thank you.